Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Musically Cogitating, a podcast about the relevance and importance of living and contemporary music of all kinds and how that music impacts our everyday lives. I am your host, Ciyadh Wells. Thank you so much for joining me here today. As I have said, this is the first episode of my brand new podcast. And this podcast is going to be a show about a lot of things. But mostly, as I said, it will be about music, how and what people are thinking about music, what they're cogitating on, and how living art continues to impact our everyday existence. Before telling you more about what you can expect from this podcast moving forward, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Ciyadh Wells, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am a creative, a curator, an artist, thinker, consultant, all of those things, a kind of person living in Austin, Texas. I have now played guitar for most of my life. I guess you could say I'm a trained classical musician and classical guitarist, but in addition to that, I also play electric guitar as well. By day, I work in development at a nonprofit here in Austin, Texas. And by night, in addition to my work as a performing artist, I also manage and run an organization called the Margins Guitar Collective, which is a concert series and a commissioning fund that works to create an open and inclusive guitar community. I am an educator by trade as well, and I love sharing and growing and learning. And I've taught many kinds of musics, many kinds of instruments, and have had students of all ages and all types, and it's been a really awesome experience so far. I am a writer. I publish regularly on my personal blog, which is available at ciyadhwells.com, and I'm involved in various research projects. I also mentioned, yes, that I am a speaker or a consultant, so I give lots of presentations about diversity, equity, and inclusion, social justice, and activism in music, and all of those things. And I am available to consult with organizations of all sizes about various nonprofit related topics, including management, fundraising, development, education, so on and so forth. I have a living partner, and we have a cat together whose name is Ollie. And in addition to that, I love all things productivity on the internet and so on and so forth. So again, about the podcast. Well, again, the name of the podcast is Musically Cogitating. And why that name? Well, the name for the show is really simple. I'm a musician who thinks and reflects a lot about music, and I love podcasts. You have no idea how much I love podcasts. And for a long time, I've been wanting to start a show of my own, and now just seem like the best time for me to do that. And so here you are. I wanted to also have the opportunity to explore various topics and themes relevant to music and our society. And again, the show is not limited necessarily to classical or contemporary music, although that's what I am and that's what I focus on. I'll be having lots of conversations with people who make all different kinds of music and what they're cogitating about and about how all of that music impacts our lives. So there will be 3 types of episodes that you can expect from this show. The first type is solo episodes. So episodes just like what I'm doing now. A lot of these episodes will be my reactions or responses to a particular topic. So I might read an article, and I might have something that I want to cogitate about and tell you about and say in response. So some of these topics will be ones that you've heard of. Some of them will be new. You'll notice that there will be lots of trends around kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion, justice, liberation, because that's what I'm interested in and that's what I want to talk about. But of course, we will reach far beyond that as well. The second type of show that you can expect is interviews. I love, of course, a good interview podcast, and there are so many amazing people that I want to talk to, and I want to share that with you as well. So you can expect for episodes to also have an interview format. The third and final type of episode that you can expect from this show, Musically Cogitating, will be a book club. These will be episodes, sometimes solo, sometimes with a semi-regular co-hosts, where we will talk about and discuss one book. We will dig into the details. We will have conversations. We'll go back and forth about the book and about how that relates to our careers as musicians, as artists, as creative, as just people living and breathing on this earth. So how often can you expect a show from me? Well, this is going to be a bi-weekly podcast that comes out every other Wednesday. So you can expect to find it in your favorite podcast player on a very regular basis. Another question that I'm going to answer is, will there be blog posts? And yes, each episode, like most podcasts, will have show notes with links, but most episodes from this show will have an accompanying or a companion blog post of all varying lengths, but they'll be there. And where can you find these episodes? Well, you can find these episodes on musicallycogitating.com, and you could subscribe in any of your favorite podcast players. So if you have any thoughts or ideas about things that you would like to share with me, topics that you would like for me to speak about, people who you would like for me to interview on the show, please feel free to send me an email at musicallycogitatingpodcast@gmail.com. The podcast is also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as YouTube. I will be checking all of those places regularly for your comments. So just put them there and I will respond when I can. The show will also have a newsletter, which you can sign up for on the website, which is, again, musicallycogitating.com. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please be sure to give the podcast a rating and review, as it really helps for me to make the show better. Well, that is all today, folks. I will be back in 2 weeks with the first episode. Until then, bye-bye.